Puro fucking record.
Plano derecho, no más que la pantalla, ves los zapatos, ¿qué
¿Eh?
dices, cabrón?
Yeah.
Compañeros, le informo que el tío de ahí es alegrío.
¿De dónde es la?
Yo lo puse estoy cagando. Cuando se ha muerto, yo digo, pero los chicos no lo ven, que le quitamos vuestro golazo.
No. Iba a jugar.
¿Tienes conectado el control?
Sí.
Sí, este computador. Ahí debe ir esta pantalla. ¿Va?
Sí, fue.
¿Y este ya venía o no esa parte?
No, el control es mío, ya lo
¿Y se
tengo.
conecta la...? Pero
Sí.
por Bluetooth se conecta.
Sí, pero yo juego con cable.
¿Y qué juego tienes pues?
Iba a jugar esto,
¿Y ya te regaló el juguete?
Este yo y este lo compré yo. Sí, y te digo, pues hermano, no estoy haciendo nada, también apenas iba a jugar, no jugando todavía.
¿Y no es inalámbrico
¿De cuál?
el teclado?
No. Y te digo, mira, apenas iba a jugar, no, también no he hecho nada, man,
Monitor, creo que tienes grandísimo, güey.
Sí, sí,
¿Y
está
esa
bien.
chingadera?
¿Cuál?
Los que prenden ahí adentro, ¿qué son?
Esas son las RAM, son 8 y 8. Y ventiladores acá abajo hay 2, está ese y el de acá son 4 ventiladores.
Todo se ve bien. ¿Y no se abre esta chingadera?
Sí.
¿Sí se abre?
Sí, se tiene que desatornillar de aquí y ya se baja el cristal. Iba a meter el Spiderman aquí en esto.
Acá, coche, que se te queme a la chingada.
Nah, no se crea. Pero sin la caja, obviamente, pues. Pero no
¿Y eso
sé.
también ya venían estos?
No, esos audífonos son los que tenía yo.
Los que les dio vender a Jorge, ¿cuáles son?
Ajá, esos. Audífonos vienen otros, pero no los he abierto. Viene otro teclado, otro mouse, y otro audífonos y otro tapete de
A la verga. Vamos a hacer una cosa.
No, pues.
Qué raja.
Te acompaño, pues, ¿ah?
Ah, tu culo, algo que yo solo.
Ah, ¿qué tiene?
Fíjate, ahí está.
Coño, Maya.
Vale, no para allá,
¿Eh?
no para allá,
Ah,
vale.
entonces ya se fue, man. Ya, pero se va.
¿Ves?
Ahí está.
No te al cielo.
Anoche.
No,
Ah, no, de aquí.
Ay, hubo carne asada, ¿no?
Sí.
¿Y te estoy comiendo tu bebé?
Ahí está toda la raza.
Sí, me estaba dando culpa de que no tenía COVID, a la vez había harta gente ahí.
Ahí está, anoche.
Algo que dijiste, coche.
Ah, pues.
Es uno de los 20 minutos más.
Ah, no. A mí me lo toca. No, pues. Jamás. sí.
Find the final few, and of course with Skittles to back him up. What was that, a 12 elimination victory royale?
Things are looking very good for my prediction. I know I don't want to make it about me. I'm so happy to see DJ and Age and Skittles have that big game one, because that's why I wanted to highlight them. They've been up there consistently, tournament after tournament, week after week, day after day, and now they have their big moment in game one. I really think they can continue this and take it, and it was just off really smart play and positioning, Monster. They just played that game textbook perfect.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you saw Who Fishy and Tabs also make a far run there too. So 2 caster picks up towards the top. But DJ and Age has been on so much fire lately. We'll see what they can continue to do throughout the course of the show. They're clearly on top. We're going to toss to the casters though at the desk. The analysts here to break all down to see what they got for us.
Thank you guys. You guys are absolutely incredible. First game here in NA is pretty good, pretty standard, which I think is kind of like a good thing, right? It's like everything is still going as intended. But listen, this trio is insane. In round number 3, they had 4 wins and 70 eliminations, okay? Now they're like, okay, round number 4? Let's just keep that running. Let's just keep doing that, Reeks.
Yeah, they're just pretty much doing the exact same strategy, and you know, they actually pulled a max distance 5th zone, so they were at complete opposite side. They jumped in that sand and they started rotating early, which was really critical because no one was focusing them at that point. They rotated over it and they saw height was relatively free, and if we saw, there was like a massive big box there. They'd done like a 3x2x2 to get built up, secured it, and that was a good way to win the game.
Yeah, very, very technical in there. Coming of that trio, just held height and finished off very cleanly.
That's right. That's all you need, man. When you just fall back on the mechanics that you've developed over this time, your time of playing Fortnite, you're always going to win. That's just how it's going to be. Or you could just be, you know, this incredible trio. Let's talk about this first game. What are you guys noticing?
So we're kind of trying to take a main look at the early game and the drops that we had here. And if we notice, Hydro 16 is actually uncontested off spawn. We saw Sparrow's team ended up dropping to the top of it, right up here, splitting this with the Disco House right to the bottom down there too. But then they ended up pushing in to try and get this once they saw it was uncontested. And if you see down below, Zeshi down at the bottom left there, who ended up dropping down at Flush Factory, these guys also had the plan to rotate in. However, Sparrow did this at around 4 minutes into the game. They managed to grab that rocket launcher out, but then Zeshi said, you know what, we're going to rotate in, but they were 30 seconds too late and they'd already gone at that point.
Yeah, and something to hear about this 0 point team that lands in the center of the map here. They picked themselves up a llama, 1 llama. However, you may think 1 was enough. No. A second llama.
Para lootear, para pensar. Es increíble cómo juega la gente,
well. So would you do that? You just leave them there? You build up? But another team, obviously, we kind of looked at this last week a ton. We've got Akon, Jack, and Slacks as well. Last week they were uncontested, right? win here. Like, we're landing here, we're going to
A
be
ver
safe
cómo van
because they know it's a hot spot.
de
They're gonna land
clasificación
there, so
de las
they're gonna keep
tablas.
to their distance. So looking over the standings, let's see if that
Actualizar.
actually played out here. We got DJ and Agers and Skittles up in that first place slot. We saw them pick up that victory, but also with 12 eliminations there as well.
Recordar que en España el
Yeah,
top
Joji
1,
has been
126
That must have
puntos,
been a
Meiji
big
Fishy
smile
número
on
2 con
Meiji
123
Fishy's
puntos.
face. That was his
Mr.
prediction.
Savage top
11
11.
elims right there from the low ground from absolutely easy. That is really, really incredible. Almost getting the same amount of elims as our
En server de Europa,
Royale takers there. And, you know, obviously we know that playing that high ground is a lot easier to get elims. So 11 elims on the low ground, that's incredible.
Yeah, and in third, we actually saw Fra, Snake, and Polarized too. And, you know, these guys got 12 eliminations too. So I don't think these guys left any eliminations for any of these other teams. You know, we can see. That's why, you know, we were talking about Slacks, Acorn, and Jack there when they got into that sixth place slot with 5 eliminations. And maybe they just had no opportunities left because our top 3 teams were just completely cleaning up everyone.
Yeah, excited to see what Slacks, Acorn, and Jack place at the end of this qualifier, at the end of this 6 games. My prediction, Chap in 11th place. They're going to be grabbing 14 points. Only 3 eliminations. Like I said, very placement heavy team here because Chap just loves his placement points. Hoping that he starts doing better though, because my prediction is not looking as good as the others though.
It's yeah, maybe, but you know, it was still really well, nice played by him. It was a very tough game for him. You know, we watched a lot from his POV, and some of the layering that he was doing to get away from the focusing was absolutely fantastic, right? Getting pressured from every single angle, and he was consistently going up or down to keep it away, and he definitely kept himself alive for a lot longer.
And you know, just to very quickly, just double back. You know, we're not making fun of Chap. It's funny because Vivid and Chap are very good friends, so it's all in good fun, Fortnite fan. Don't freak out.
Recuerden comprar en la tienda con el código José Daniel Alonso, por favor.
With that being said, Fortnite fan, we hope you guys are ready because with another 5 games to go,
Estamos empezando en esto.
anything could happen, and that was proven over in EU. So let's get ready. We're going to toss it back over to Monster Deep.
Código José Daniel Alonso, please.
Of the FNCS. Here we go, Fortnite fan. Game number 2. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
Let's go.
There we have it. Yeah, let's get into it. Game number 2 is here. The battle bus is underway. We saw a little bit of the everything in the last game.
Station, or you know, gas station, whatever you Americans want to call it, on the way back to the orchard, and they get orchard as well. So it's a big wide split, but like we saw last game, when you have those wide splits, if you practice them and you have the, you know, the technicality in there to still get your storm surge by going over towards Crag, finding those on the way back to the orchard, and they get orchard as well. So it's a big wide major POI without being contested, when you have still have the advantages of getting your storm surge either way. So they kind of put it into practice, but again, we're looking pretty good, Monster. Your pick on 47 points, but a little bit scary because they have to win this spawn fight again. They did it last game. Can they do it again, or are they going to be able to make enough with the loot even if they don't win it?
Yeah, when we tuned in the previous round as well, we saw the fight late into development, and that was later into the minutes of the second and first zone. So we'll see. Plenty of time on the clock as Avery here has to clutch up for his squad mates down below. There is just one big threat. It's Kaz who's got the health advantage. A little bit of a shield crack on both sides. It's going to be a confidence booster, but one pump is all it's going to take for any of the 2 sides here. Kaz gets hits one. No, it's not going to be enough. Little 19 cheeky pick there is going to be enough to go ahead and clutch it up. Hey, the dance move. He's got, you know, clear skies here.
Clear skies. There is so much history at this drop between these teams as well. Riversan playing with an entirely different team now, has gone away from Steamy Stacks. Didn't want to get into that double contest. He's now back at Lazy Lake. You know, last season we had them going toe-to-toe with every team. Riversan keeps going back to Lazy, keeps going toe-to-toe with players like Illust and Creo. But Illust was actually used to be on Riversan's team. So Riversan is now versing his ex-teammate at Lazy Lake, who both of them have played with, I think, combined 6 different iterations of teams in the last 2 seasons. So trying to make things work, but unfortunately Illust on the wrong side of that as Riversan's team takes Lazy Lake in game 2.
Yep, Illust having a rough one here. Now though, Jamper and Nosh up front. Poison for the big push in. Paper playing the distance shot here. have to be very, very careful. If Fishy tabs and oh, wait a second, the sniper shot comes out and it looks like that's from Zextro. Completely different team on the other side of the map. Gonna go out in line 1 downtown, and they notice, oh yeah, they saw the feed light up. They know exactly what's happening here. They want to take advantage. And is Zextro's team pushing in? Yes, they are.
They are. They're pushing in, so they're dropping that risky reels area now. It's kind of not really looking best as it used to, obviously, as well now. The desert kind of hit it pretty hard, but they get good loot. They obviously got the sniper rifle in the hands of Zextro. It is very, very dangerous. Been known for his superior aim since the beginning of Fortnite. It has been what Zextro's built his reputation off, and just getting a really good shot there to break up this fight. But I'm looking at Joji there with 2 builds, not the best loot, and now you've got another stacked looted team on top of you.
Colisión no es que sea la mejor idea, recordemos que no se puede construir bien ahí. Es muy difícil.
They invested everything in that fight and neither of them won it.
Yeah, I'm not seeing Paper's name, so I'm assuming he was completely taken out. And you talk about investing.
Mucha gente en Alameda también, otro de los lugares muy difíciles para pelear. Por los árboles. Headshot de snipe.
And this is very
Beats está en problemas.
OC just doesn't have a lot of sniper openings. NAEU, completely different pace of game here. You can see this is the start.
30 tríos, 86 personas vivas. Ahorita estamos viendo a Yai con 8 puntos trío.
Sometimes it is you set up and you don't really want to push in on a fight unless you get a major engagement or a major green light, as I like to say. And headshot snipe is going to be that green light. You brought it down to a guaranteed not just 2v3, but now they're pressured.
Yai se va por el agua ya que se quedó sin uno de sus compañeros. Que no llega, que no llega. Tiene que curarse si no está muerto.
And a team that's looking a lot worse for wear, and a lot of teams will take their storm surge off a headshot snipe, maybe get the finish and then not push the 2, but right now we're seeing a bit more aggression out of this team in Weeping, and it's a good spot to take this aggression because you've got a lot
Está tomando un min, una Vic, pero no lo dejan curarse a gusto. Está muerto Jay.
They get a second elimination, even more storm surge. Why not? If you get it for free, you may as well. And it's Sparebo. You talked about how they might change their strategy.
Qué mala suerte, de verdad.
Yeah, they come on up, and I saw in the distance there, what was it, Teo in the distance with Chimp and Tabney, meaning that they switched up their drop as well, rotating quickly out of the logjam so they don't get caught up like the previous round by Jack, Acorn, and Slash. So already everyone manipulating the drop, changing up their playstyles, but it's causing different clashes in different areas, and that's why it's so imperative that you are careful and you do your homework about who you are rotating into. You can see that although the Big Ten from last week aren't here, there are still serious threats on the field, and how quickly things can change, how quickly you can fall, even as skilled as a team like AJ and Rocks.
Yeah, it looks like Weeping Woods has been set ablaze as well by the Dragonfire shotgun. Such a clean way to finish off a fight. So much damage delivered when it's point blank like that. Obviously leaves the fire trail as well, which in Weeping Woods carries pretty far, but Felix's team now rotating out, looking fantastic after that fight. That's really good surge, really good damage, and that's when you want to start your game number 2. They're on 21 points, and they invested next to nothing into that. And now they get to rotate out as we see another more northern zone, not too far by looks of it so far, but it's going to be difficult for a lot of those teams that are coming out of the southern areas, as now we have it answered. It was Ronaldo, Okus, and Blake did not drop Pleasant Park. We did still see Polarized Snake and Frat drop here like I would have thought, because that's a team that does not leave drop spots. They like to fight, and they're scaring off posed. So I've got to ask, where did Blake, Ronaldo, and Okus go? Maybe they were our team that saw Stealthy Stronghold uncontested.
I don't know. Something tells me that they might have been honestly wiped up here at the drop. Like, just look at how quickly, you know, how many teams are down. 4 teams are down. This is one of the few POIs that are actually contested, and we saw 2 different teams get wiped up in the feed. So the question does remain. We'll see if it gets answered for us here shortly coming into the mid game. Off in the distance though, Frat tries to put some shots down, looking for any tags that he can. Would be impressive if he did hit something.
This is scary. This is a team that's usually contested at Pleasant, and if they're taking tags on that one, it seems a bit desperate for me trying to get their Storm Surge. No one's been here. How are they going to get them now? They're used to having it as a full engagement onto Blake, Ronaldo, and Okus, so they don't have that now, and sometimes you think that's a better thing, but if you've been contested all season in scrims, in tournaments, and everything, all of a sudden you find yourself uncontested, that can sometimes be even worse. You haven't practiced it as much, you haven't played it, but that's what these qualifiers are for as well. That's why there's consistency points. Not just if you get top 10 today, if you have a consistent tournament, you can still bring it back and qualify next week, and that experience gained by playing those games uncontested could be massive, because you don't know what's going to happen in heats. as Snake's team not looking the best with the loadout either. Only 3 items of potentially 5 in Snake's inventory there, so maybe potential for a bit of fishing, try and find something on the way in, could even grab some apples, I don't know.
Por cierto, ¿sabían que Benji Fishy era trío de Mongrad y de Nitro? Y para esta semana de la FNCS cambiaron los tríos, una persona más reemplazando hacia Benji Fishy, y Benji Fishy también consiguió a 2 personas más, ya que la semana pasada cuando jugó con Nitro y Mongrad no les fue del todo bien. Y esta semana Benji Fishy ya se ha clasificado para las finales. Recordar que estas son las finales de la semana número 2 y todavía falta la semana número 3 para la clasificación, finales, y ahora sí que clasifican los 10 primeros tríos de cada final. Así que serían 30 tríos y 3 tríos que entran automáticamente por que a lo largo de las 3 semanas han jugado bien o han quedado cerca de la clasificación.
To really pop off and have that big performance, they need like a really good FNCS placement to solidify them as big names on NA East. A lot of the players know it, but I feel like the community's been sleeping on them a little bit, so I'm so happy to see them highlight that in game 1 and show what they can do.
Yeah, with how consistent they've been lately, you just look at the history of Dejan's placements and you can see that he has been on a meteoric rise, if you will. Just so many top placing spots. I think he even took a dream hack just recently as well, so kind of solidified, putting the icing on the cake, if you will, for Dejan. And of course Agers pairing up the duos dream hack games that just went down not too long ago. Now though,
Skittles was a great pickup for that team too. Skittles kind of fit that team so well, and they're a team that does have great chemistry. We see that so much. You find a fantastic duo that gets along so well, that plays so well, and you find that perfect 3 to kind of just round it out into trios, and that's what the sign of a great player for me is, the consistency, not just in tournaments, but across game modes. Being able to do it in solos, duos, and trios is just so incredibly important, as right now we have Cozzies and Minish trying to make their rotate, going for the bush strat. A little bit scary with snipers in the middle. I know it's a bit of a lucky shot, but knowing that you have no protection from any of that damage from a stray sniper bullet is a little bit scary, but I like the strategy of one player pushing forward ahead to build a base. You really want your builds kind of placed as early as possible so they can fully get their, full durability, they get their full strength so you can't break straight through them. But Minish setting up for a sniper here and could find a potential angle. I question this play, but I actually like this the more that I think about it now. If teams don't know they're in that bush and they open up some edits, a clean snipe there will go a long way.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You got to be careful. We saw a couple teams get punished last time. Was it Threats who opened it up when putting fire in? It was Bumboy on the other side.
Took the shot on that one, unfortunately. Yeah, it was. I think it was Threats opening, but I think it was Dukes taking the shot, unfortunately.
Yeah, got to be careful with those snipers, man.
Got to be careful of the zone too. This is an interesting rotate, and I've talked about how they have their big split and get a lot of loot, but things not looking too fantastic for Skittles team. 223 above, so they found their Storm Surge, which is good because uncontested, that's a little bit sketchy, and I like this rotate. Taking those Storm Ticks, they've taken, what, by the time they get in about 30 damage each or so, but they've rotated all the way around all those teams you see in the bottom right on the minimap there, and now they get to get into a better spot. Sometimes the Storm can be your friend as well as an enemy. If you use it, players won't be expecting you to come out of it in different spots. Now they rotate all the way around a team that I want to see do big things. We talk about underrated Mars OW Monster.
El hype del edificio es la clave por el momento.
Not actually playing in the practice scene as much, but playing so heavily in arena. I think he's up to almost 300,000 arena points now. Just an unfathomable amount.
Son número 3
the
apenas.
experience in that does carry over to tournaments because he's playing so consistently right now in stacked tournaments as well without almost any practice.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, listen, he plays with a purpose when he's in arena, right? He plays to win. He plays to take those fights and come out on top. And honestly, it translates well when he's in a pickle, when he's in a tight situation. He pops off. He treats the game like
25 tríos, 72 personas
really
vivas.
Think about it. I guess the constant queuing up of arena gives him advantages in a lot of different ways, right? I guess the volatility that you can't really guess, right, in normal games, and he's performing well there.
Con 19
Whereas in
puntos.
the practicing in these high tier games, it's a little bit more predictable, right? You know where players are going to drop. So you give someone like him that arsenal, that information, he's playing well off the bat because it's one less thing he has to worry about.
See Sparebow picking up another elimination defeat now onto Nosh, so they're having a really good game here, jumping up. I saw them around 20 points, so they're looking pretty good. A few kind of teams going down here in the feed as we get a very, it's around the middle of the map. There's nothing too crazy going on here. DJ Ages and Skittles utilizing the vehicle to try and make this rotate, building out of the backseat, and it's gonna be interesting. Do they try and set up on the edge, or do they try and go more central? They are gonna try and go on the edge here, which would be interesting when it comes into Forza Zone now, how they make their next rotate. But I wonder, do they need Storm Surge tags? It's one of the main reasons you'll see teams like this set up on the edge, because if you go too far central, you're just gonna find teams in fully built bases. That's very hard to get your tags on. But right now, teams like Mars who are trying to rotate in, I was just singing his praises. Looks like they're going down here, unfortunately. That's a lot easier to get your shots off onto, rather than teams like you see Jack, Acorn, and Slacks completely centered up in base, and you can't find any angles on them.
Yeah, and I just wanted to touch on Deej and Ages in particular. We're halfway through their heavy material as well. You can tell they're just not content with their positioning. Didn't even want to put themselves in big lines of fire, so they didn't even take the mountaintop, like the little hill there. Instead, they based up underneath it. All signs of very passive play, trying to keep a low profile. On the other side, though, Acorns Trios won more games from low ground than any other team, and this time they're up in the air looking outwards. How is that going to play out for them? A low ground winning team, right? We gave that, I guess, that crown, that title to Xset last season, but now looks like Acorn's holding it.
Yeah, and I think they've honestly kind of borrowed it, or maybe taken it from Centered, Edgy, and Commandment. That's the team. I mean, Centered named himself Low Ground King 7 for a reason. He is the one who's always holding down that low ground. I mean, there's even been a wave of people imitating wearing Centered's exact loadout in tournaments, so that on low ground, people are less likely to try and fight you because of how much of a reputation they've built up down there, as Jack gets that finish onto Mars. But again, I talked about at the start of the show, Centered, Edgy, Commandment were 1 point off qualifying into this round 4. They came 34th, so at the same time, I want to see Jack, Acorn, Slacks have their big performance and come top 10, or even potentially win here today without one of their biggest contenders on that low ground. And yeah, except also not here. Very good call out, Monster. So low ground's actually looking very open from the teams that we are aware of that take it, but on NA East, you never know. There's so many teams in here who haven't built up that storyline or that reputation for their playstyle, and maybe low grounds where they have their sights set as well.
I mean, yeah, you got players like Hufishy in here, you got Chap still in here, right? So no one's free on low ground, not by any means. Still some slayers out there. I know high ground's definitely being contested by a couple other big dogs on the scene here. Chimp included as one of the, again, those up-and-comers. Chimp, Tabney, who I believe made it out of their draw spot with that early rotate. So I am very, very keen on seeing where is it that they landed themselves if they made it to the mid-game, because there's so many players in Weeping Woods. Here's the surge going off, though. 6 players are going to have to go ahead and get active now. Otherwise, the damage from the storm will do the rest for them. Stitch, Steelsy, and Jelly here. Beautiful loadouts coming into the mid-game here, Aussie. This is where you want to be.
Yeah, very good loadout as well, and it's interesting to see how people are playing the assault rifle meta as well. That legendary heavy assault rifle, slower fire rate, tends to have a bigger bloom if you try to hold it down, but if you can tap your shots or have that clinical accuracy, it does hit harder and do even more damage. As we see, it looks like Susscript and Bumboy not in a great spot, and I don't see Cloudinator. That's your 4th place team that I've been saying has been playing so well coming into these games. I believe they performed insanely well yesterday to qualify into this spot. Yeah, coming top 10, so they were looking really good, but unfortunately, as a duo here, something's come unstuck. And then again, people looking for their Storm Surge now. People